Hello, Internet! My name is Catherine Barsonistas, and you're watching the Gluttonous Geek Presents Munchies and Minis. Here at Munchies and Minis, we make recipes inspired by tabletop RPGs so you can have some dinner with your dice rolls. This episode, we electric slide back to the 90s and the world of Visigoths and Mulgoths for some smoothies and cinnamon rolls. Long ago, the Visigoths sacked Rome in search of a homeland. But just last year, a careless suburban Mulgoth with a Ouija board evoked an entire community of Visigoths into 1996 from the distant past. At first, the Visigoths were confused by the modern world, but they adapted quickly and soon opened their own stores in the mall. Their ultimate goal? To conquer the entire mall, and maybe one day, Los Angeles itself. In this role-playing game with spooky adolescents and teenage warriors, you can solve mysteries in a retro mall, flirt with many shop clerks, or both. There are a lot of bisexuals. This episode, we're sampling the Visigoth side of the food court. When I think back to the malls of my childhood, I remember the ever-pervading scent of cinnamon and sugar, so I thought, what if these brave warriors took over the Cinnabon? I mean, it makes sense. Visigoths prize sweet pastries and Eastern spices, and coincidentally enough, the Visigothic descendants of Calabria, Italy, have a pinwheel-shaped cinnamon, nut, and fruit-stuffed pastry strongly resembling the modern cinnamon roll, called pita mig pigliata, or stuffed pastry. With this in mind, I wanted to take the classic Cinnabon recipe and adapt it with Visigothic ingredients for a bun I'm calling a Cinna-Hlaif, or Cinna-Loaf. Everybody ready? Roll for initiative. While the Visigoths did not have access to sugar, they loved honey. So we'll be using granulated honey for our recipe. The Calabrian counterpart uses cinnamon and ground clove, but accounts of the Visigothic diet shows a special love of black pepper, a love that extended well into the medieval period in Europe. So with that, we'll be using a blend of these spices for our filling. While meat and dairy played a heavy part of the Visigothic diet, they also enjoyed olive oil. It imparts a lighter crumb and an interesting flavor to the pastry, so we'll be using it today instead of butter. First, warm 1 cup of milk in the microwave for 45 seconds. Pour the milk into the bowl of your stand mixer and add 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast. Measure out and add a tablespoon out of a 1/2 cup of granulated honey. Then stir with a wooden spoon. Let sit for 5 minutes to proof and get bubbly. Once proofed, add 2 eggs, a 1/3 cup of olive oil, a teaspoon of salt, and the remaining honey powder. Blend until combined. Add 4 1/2 cups of all-purpose flour and stir to incorporate. Then, set your bowl into your stand mixer and attach your dough hook. Mix on medium for 3 to 5 minutes until it forms a smooth dough. At this point, remove the bowl from the mixer. Drizzle the top of the dough with more olive oil. And cover with plastic wrap. Set the bowl someplace warm and let rise until doubled, at least 1 hour. Just enough time to chat up that cute Visigoth working at Athelwolf's secret. Wish me luck. When you finally return after Brunhilde rejects you, again, Coat the inside of a 9 by 13 inch baking dish, or in this case, a 12-inch cast iron skillet, with cooking spray. Next, blend 3/4 cup of granulated honey with 2 tablespoons of ground cinnamon, 2 teaspoons of black pepper, and 1 teaspoon of ground clove. Set aside. Then, dust your workspace with flour. Turn out the dough. And roll it into a 12-inch by 16-inch rectangle. Brush the dough with up to 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And coat with your honey spice mix. Scatter a 1/4 cup each of raisins and crushed walnuts over the surface. Traditionally, this dessert would contain a paste of raisins, nuts, and finely chopped dates, but I felt that this would make our hlaifs a little too dense and heavy to be reminiscent of 90s Cinnabon. Next, carefully roll the dough from the long end into a log. Cut with a sharp knife in short, sawing motions to slice into 12 rolls. Transfer the rolls to your baking vessel. Cover with plastic wrap and let rise again for about 30 to 45 minutes. In the meantime, preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Heat 3/4 cup of heavy cream in the microwave for 45 seconds. Then blend in 2 tablespoons of dry vermouth. The Visigoths loved wine. White wine was obtained from the Amanea grape, and the sweet wine was from the Appiana. In fact, the Calabrian version of this recipe utilizes vermouth, a white wine with botanicals in both its dough as well as the sweet glaze that often coats it. In our recipe, though, our wine and cream mixture will go on top of our rolls, a tablespoon over each one, which will not only aid its rise in the oven, but give them that gooiness Cinnabon is known for. Once coated, cover your pan with foil and bake for about 15 minutes. After that, remove the foil and bake for another 10 minutes until golden brown. While waiting, let's make icing. In a mixing bowl, add 3/4 cup of softened cream cheese, 1 1/3 cup of granulated honey, and 2 tablespoons of dry vermouth. Then, beat with your hand mixer or with the whisk attachment in your stand mixer until light and fluffy. Once your rolls come out of the oven, spoon about half of the icing over them. The other half will go on after they cool and right before serving. Feel free to add additional nuts and raisins on top. Our Cinna-Hlaifs are done, but we've had a very long day of raiding and pillaging, so we're gonna lay down our swords for the night and continue with our smoothies on the morrow. In the meantime, don't mind if I do. Oh, that was good. Welcome back! Last night we warmed our halls with freshly baked Cinna-Hlaifs, and now I think it's the perfect time for us to cool down with a frosty beverage. So, on our next stop in the Visigothic Food Court, we head to Lemon Theodosius, a smoothie shop conquered and then renamed because Orange Julius sounded too Roman. Orange Julius, the famous creamsicle-flavored concoction, was named for its creator Julius Fried, who back in the 1920s blended orange juice, syrup, milk, vanilla, ice, and eggs and sold it at California county fairs. More dessert than drink, perhaps, he marketed its creamy citrus froth as a digestion-friendly alternative to orange juice. Once the drink hit the malls in the late 1980s, the eggs were replaced by bananas for food safety concerns. However, bananas were definitely not part of the Visigothics palate, so we're bringing back the eggs. More protein for the growing Visigoth to sack Rome, or at least the Roman Delight pizza stand. For food safety and liability, we'll be using pasteurized egg whites instead. The Visigoths cultivated a number of fruits and vegetables in their gardens, such as dates, pomegranates, peaches, and pears. Lemons were also very popular, and we'll be using half a can of frozen lemonade concentrate, as well as a half can of pears and juice for this recipe. Add the lemonade concentrate to your blender, along with the pears with juice. Pour in a cup of whole milk, a quarter cup of granulated honey, 2 tablespoons of pasteurized egg white, 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, half a teaspoon of black pepper, and 1 cup of ice cubes. Pears will help mellow the lemon's acidity, while also adding a nice banana-like texture to the mix. Next, lay siege upon the contents of your blender until the whirling blades reduce your quarry to a smooth but frothy consistency. Depending on your blender, this may take some pulsing, pulverizing, or maybe even crushing. Finally, pour the concoction into the drinking vessel of your choice and celebrate your victory over the frost giants. Straws are optional. And there you have it! Sweet, spiced, and honey-drenched Cinna-Hlaifs and lemon Theodosius smoothies, worthy of your tribes and part of a complete before-battle breakfast. Watching the Gluttonous Geek Presents Munchies Minis. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe button, and thank you all for joining me here today. I'm Catherine Marcinistas, and as always, stay safe, stay sane, stay you. What? That's good.